Before you end up here, it's important that you consider what's to happen to your assets in the event of your death. Dying intestate or without a will can be a nightmare for those left behind. When looking at drafting a will, there are a number of issues that you need to consider, including who would you like to be the executor to administer your estate in the event of your death? Who would you like to benefit from your estate? Are there any specific bequests you would like to make? Where the beneficiaries are minors, you may wish to consider establishing a testamentary trust, which allows monies or assets to be retained and invested until the happening of a certain event, such as when your children attain 25 years of age. Who will look after your children in the event of your death? How would you like your body disposed of? The legal requirements for a valid will are: the will must be in writing, the will must be signed by the testator or the person making the will, the testator's signature must be witnessed by 2 independent adults. It's worth noting that a beneficiary or a spouse cannot witness a will. The witnesses must sign the will in the presence of the testator and each other. The most common estate planning mistakes are failing to keep your will up to date. For example, if you get divorced or married, any will which you previously drafted is revoked by law. Failing to express your intentions clearly, which causes confusion. Failing to take tax into consideration when making provision for beneficiaries. Some assets are subject to capital gains tax, while others are not. Failing to specify that debts are to be repaid before a new distribution is made. For example, imagine one child was left $200,000 in cash, but the other was left an apartment with a mortgage and a CGT liability of $50,000. These bequests are not equal. Giving assets not owned by you, such as property held as joint tenants in a family trust, a company or a business situation. Understanding that superannuation is treated as a separate asset for estate planning purposes. Failing to advise anyone where your will is located, which in effect means you die without a will. Failing to provide the executor with sufficient guidance or authority to administer the estate. Effective estate planning is important. It can reduce the financial burden placed upon your beneficiaries, both in terms of potentially how your legacy is taxed and also how it impacts on each beneficiary's individual circumstances. This is a complex area and you really should seek professional advice. If you've got any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me. Before you end up here, it's important that you consider what's to happen to your assets in the event of your death. Dying intestate or without a will can be a nightmare for those left behind. When looking at drafting a will, there are a number of issues that you need to consider, including